Are you thinking about firing someone? I understand that it's a tough decision. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about how and when you need to fire somebody, what are the right metrics to look at, etc. Also, if you'd like all my materials on how to scale your agency to $185,000 per month for free, go to agencygo.io/leads to get everything for free today. Let's jump into it.
So the first thing you're gonna wanna do, even before you consider firing anybody, is to make sure you have your HR and compliance fully in check. Now, what I use for HR compliance, and again, I'm not sponsored by Rippling, but what I use for HR compliance is Rippling. Rippling is great for having all of your documents in one place when it comes to your contracts, making sure everyone signs any sort of HR related policies that could put your company at risk. So again, before even showing you how and when to fire someone, I just want to make sure that you fully understand that you should not be hiring or firing anyone unless you get your HR stuff in place. Now, contractors are a little different, although they do pose still a security and legal risk, but I would just focus on getting this in place. It's really important for your business, and given how good it is at scaling your business, I wouldn't recommend anything else. It's only $8 per month per user. They're a massively valuable company. We've been using them for years now. So definitely get onto Rippling, get your employees in here, and don't even think about hiring or firing anyone unless you have rock solid contracts in place. The good thing too about Rippling is Rippling actually will give you contract templates that you can use for actually hiring and firing people if necessary. Now, you can also go to app.agencygo.io/affiliates, and you can actually sign up for this service, which will give you access to all of our contracts if you need to hire or fire sales reps. The way that I look at whether somebody is actually performing at a low caliber and needs to improve or be fired is in a couple of different ways. First and foremost, based on their position. Now, if somebody's in a sales management position, I will base their performance on the last 6 months of data average, right? And so for instance, let's say this was a time slice from a few months back, right? Let's say that somebody was, let's say our company or their performance of their team was doing about $124,000 per month over a 6-month period. I take subscription sales and churn, and I take the net from that. ASGR is what I call it, average subscription growth rate. And then I take that over the course of 12 months. And because I'm basing this on hard facts, I know that if someone is managing sales reps, so this is for a sales management position, and they're not able to keep up what I have here, which is I require a 10% growth per year on their book of business, right? So what they're managing, so this is just for one sales rep managing their book of business. For their book of business, I need to see 10% at minimum, because otherwise I might as well just invest in the stock market, because that's a better return I could get in the stock market, right? So you have to grow 10%. So if I'm being realistic, 10% is the base minimum. You don't just want people to be doing the average. You want people to be growing their book of business. So if they grew their book of business, 20% per year is what you should be aiming for. So if you take your average growth and you take the 20% per year number and you compound it, this is what you should be ending up with at the end of the year. So if somebody isn't up to code and isn't actually hitting this based on the last 6 months of data average, then you need to fire them, right? So that's how I look at it with the actual management of sales reps. Now, when it comes to BDRs, people that are actually booking meetings, what I'll do is I have average amount of meetings booked per video sent, or you could change video sent to cold call or email or whatever. The whole goal is you have to maintain a certain show up rate and a certain analysis sent rate. So for us, about 7 every 100 videos, we send SEO analyses. Every 7 out of 100 videos that are sent turn into meetings, right? And of those meetings, 73% show up. So if someone says, like here, the average across these BDRs, I have my cohort, 440 videos. If they're not booking 40 meetings and 30 of them show up, that's not acceptable. That's the average, right? You want to get rid of underperformers, right? So the whole goal here, and the thing to think about, is you want to get rid of underperformers. You want people who are growing or exceeding the averages. The averages weigh everyone down. Think about it as in college, right? I don't know if you experienced this before, but in college, I remember when I was in college, when our class didn't want to pass a test, and just because no one studied, they would collectively bomb that test. And that's what happened. And it was a horrible thing to see, really, in the grand scheme of things, because it's, people are paying for tuition and everything. But I participated in it as well when I was in college. Everyone does it. So you can't give people leeway here. if they're hitting their averages, they're out, right? Or if they're below the average, they're out. You have to eat at least average or exceeding average. Now, average is sometimes okay, only because over the course of a year or multiple quarters, they should be doing above average. But if somebody hits the average, you really want to consider whether they're actually doing the full thing that you need for your business, right? So I'll have some people who are just crushing it, otherwise who aren't crushing it as much, right? And then when it comes to closers, so just to be clear, I have manager performance, I have BDR, so people who are setting the appointments for the closers performance and what they need to do. And then I have closers performance. I have averages for this too, and above or below average. So for instance, for closers performance, right? These are a bunch of different closers that close for our team. Here's the averages over many deals. Some of these haven't actually been accounted for. So like for instance, Ian has 99 accounts he's closed out of 303 meetings that have shown up. So you can see here, 1,849 meetings booked, 1,075. This is pretty much over the course of last year plus about 4 months, right? 244 accounts, really should be about 260. This is a little outdated. 260 accounts closed, 22.7% closing rate across the board. So if somebody isn't performing up to 22.7%, they have to go, right? So that's how I know if somebody's right to fire. Now, what you can use, and again, you could either go to Agency Go and get this information, or you can get it from Rippling. But once you have the contracts in place, you can either send it through Rippling or you can send through DocHub when you're actually going to fire someone. Now, the good thing about firing someone or letting them go is that, well, there's two good things. One, sometimes you don't need to actually fire someone. So this is a trick I use for sales, is that if somebody's actually not producing, you could just put them on probation for a few weeks and just reduce their hours until they improve. And this sometimes is good because sometimes people have situations outside of their control that cause them to not be very good. You want to show faith in your employees, right? You don't want to just indiscriminately fire people if there's something that could really be outside of their control that prevented them from performing their best. Now, I'm always an optimist and I like to think anyone can perform at their best in any situation, but life happens, things happen, and sometimes you just can't control them, right? So that is totally understandable. So that's how I look at it. Those are the metrics I look for when I'm firing someone. The firing process is actually really simple. I just call them up and I say, hey, things aren't really working out. I'll say, hey, I'll give them a warning about 2 to 4 weeks in advance and say, look, your numbers have to improve or we're gonna have to let you go. We're gonna have to reduce your hours to 0. The last kind of tip I'll leave you here is that you can actually have people's hours go down to 0. This is something that people don't really know. You can have someone on your team working 0 hours. So this could be helpful if you know somebody's like gone on vacation or they're, need 2 weeks off and they're not gonna perform their best. You could just put their hours to 0 and then bring them back on later. This is great for fractional part-time employees when you're looking to scale people or down. So the key is to try to find people who can be scaled up or down within sales, especially for your agency. And then for people who are on salary, just remember that you have to get your stuff in place, especially if you're in a state like we are, California. Termination lawsuits happen all the time and it's very, very damaging. I've never been in one, but I've seen it happen. It's very damaging. You don't want to be involved in that.
Agency Go fam, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know firing people is a hard thing to do, but hopefully this video made it easier. As always, if you like to share, subscribe, or like this content, that way we can get out to more agency owners who need it and you can stay in the loop for more content just like this. And as always, if you'd like all of the training and tools and resources that I've been able to use to scale my agency to $185,000 per month for free, that's free for you, go to agencygo.io/leads to get that for free.